Hello and welcome to Hockenheim, the Eurosport's coverage of the German Grand Prix, round 9 of the Formula One series. With me, John Watson, and this circuit, John, a historic one that brings back a few memories.
Well, it was one of the first circuits that I raced on in Formula 2 in 1970, and of course the circuit's changed a great deal since then. We're standing right now in the stadium part of the circuit, and that really is as it was years ago. But it's this section outside of this, those long straights that are now segmented by chicanes, and really very slow and fiddly chicanes they are, that has changed the whole face of Hockenheim. It used to be a flat-out slipstream circuit. Now it is essentially a power circuit, and it is the Ferraris, the Williams with the Renault engine, and of course Mclaren with the V10 Honda engine that are going to be the main players throughout the weekend. But keep an eye on the two Benettons, because their V8 Ford engines are beginning to show the promise that Cosworth have been telling us about all along.
What about those memories of Hockenheim? What are the particular incidents that have happened here that appeal to you?
Well, it's one of those racetracks that I found very strange when I first came here, particularly the slipstreaming aspect of it. But one part of it I don't like is in a rain, if it's wet here, on those long straights, they're lined in an avenue of trees. The spray goes up, it catches in the trees, and it sort of falls down as a very fine mist. It's a very eerie atmosphere. It's not the most enjoyable circuit I've raced on, but of course it's a unique one, and with having now those four long straights, it adds to the interest in an already very interesting Grand Prix calendar.
Okay, John, more from you later, but as I say, it is the halfway stage in the championship. Let's have a look at the drivers' table. In the lead for the first time this season, Alain Prost for Ferrari with 41 points. Then comes Ayrton Senna for Mclaren, followed by his teammate Gerhard Berger. Fourth with 18 points is Nelson Piquet, fifth Thierry Boutsen, and level on sixth, Jean Alesi and Nigel Mansell with 13 points each. Eighth is Riccardo Patrese, ninth Alessandro Nannini for Benetton, and 10th Ivan Capelli. 11th is Eric Barnard, Stefano Modena and Alex Caffi at 12th, and Satoru Nakajima, Derek Warwick and Aguri Suzuki all share 14th place. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren Honda had the lead with 64 points, 10 ahead of Ferrari in second place. Williams are third and Benetton fourth. Tyrrell are fifth and Leighton House sixth. Seventh are Lola Lamborghini. Eighth place is shared by Brabham and Arrows. And in 10th, it's Camel Lotus. Well, those are the standings. Let's now check out the news in the Formula One paddock. Coloni have dropped their Subaru engine and are running with a Ford Cosworth power plant, which they say weighs a staggering 100 kilos less. McLaren may be under pressure, but Honda have promised them a more powerful version of their V10 engine for this race. As he revealed to us here on Eurosport at the French Grand Prix, Alain Prost has confirmed that he will be retiring from Formula One at the end of next season. This is the halfway stage in the season and the time when the pre-qualifying is reassessed. The lucky team are Larousse, who move forward to qualifying proper. The unlucky ones, Ligier. Let's have a look at how they fared in that very early morning session. Ligier were making their debut in this cutthroat forerunner to the competition proper. The French outfit showed little evidence of the blow to their morale, Philippe Alliot qualifying fastest in 1 minute 45.513. And teammate Nicola Larini restored more Gallic pride when he posted the second fastest time of the early morning session. The third place in the official practice sessions went to Olivier Griard, who maintained his impressive record in the low Nacella. Last to move up a grade, Yannick Dalmas, who made up for teammate Gabriele Tarquini's failure to join the top flight. So Philippe Alliot quickest in the session. He's no stranger to pre-qualifying. He had to do it last year. I asked him how the car was handling early in the morning.
Well, the car was not too bad because I finished first, but the problem is the pre-qualifying. Pre-qualifying is something, you know, very, very difficult, but also very exciting for the driver. Because if you miss this pre-qualifying, if you have just a small trouble, you are dead. And the weekend is finished for you. And that's why this pre-qualifying are something very, very exciting. And okay, it was the first time for the team here to be in pre-qualifying, not the first time for me, because I was in pre-qualifying last year with Larousse. And everything was perfect today. All the mechanical, all the people was very good. and you know, it's not very easy to be quiet in this hours, and also no problem for me because I was first in the beginning to the end, and now it's finished, and I'm happy.
What did it mean to the team having to pre-qualify?
For the team, it's really big trouble. First, because you are completely at the back, like if you are not in Formula One, you know, you are not considered. And for that, sometimes it's really difficult because all the first team have the nice box, everything, and you are with your truck completely at the exit and with the other. That's the first difficult thing to support. The second is all the organization is different because you have 1 hour more and you need to change many things. And for example here, we put many bikes around the track because during this hour, if you have just a little trouble with the car and you are stopped completely at the exit, here is 7 kilometers and it's impossible to come back. And it's a different organization, you know, but I'm happy and surprised because the team did very well for the first time in pre-qualifying today. I hope it will be like this till the end.
Not such a happy session for Coloni with their new engine. Maybe lighter and proved more reliable, but there's still that matter of fate to deal with, as driver Bertrand Gachot negotiated the first corner and got it all wrong. That put paid to their chances of getting through pre-qualifying. Another man with problems in pre-qualifying, Brazilian Roberto Moreno. His Eurobrand left the track at the same point. If anything, a more dramatic exit. It hasn't been the happiest of German Grand Prix for Moreno. He missed the first half hour of the session when his car was completely rewired. So quickest among the pre-qualifiers, Philippe Alliot for Ligier. Second fastest, his teammate Nicola Larini. Third was Olivier Guyard in the Osella, and fourth Yannick Dalmas for AGS. The unlucky ones this time round, Tarquini, Moreno, Gachot, Langes and Giacomelli. Well, that's pre-qualifying over for the German Grand Prix, but what can we look forward to for the rest of the weekend? Because this really is an important race.
Well, first of all, I think we're going to see a cracking Grand Prix because we've got 4 teams that are very competitive, and they're all at the front. But the one team that really is trying hardest of all, I would say, to get back onto the winner's rostrum is Honda Mclaren. They've lost the last 3 races for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons is that the car itself, the chassis, isn't working as well as the opposition. They've still got the most powerful engine, that's the V10 Honda, and at a circuit like Hockenheim, which is a power circuit, that should see them get onto the rostrum. But of course, Ferrari, Williams with the Renault engine, and now Benetton with the Ford engine are becoming very serious and strong challengers. So I think we're going to see possibly an even better race than we've seen in the last 3. They were crackers. I can't wait until Sunday.
Lots to look forward to. We'll be back right after the break with highlights of the first qualifying session for the German Grand Prix. Stay with Eurosport. Welcome back, and now without any more ado, let's straight away join the action. The first official qualifying session, your commentators, John Watson and Alan Tyndall.
Well, thank you, Matthew, and we joined the Friday qualifying action inside Derek Warwick's Lotus. John, this is pretty spectacular stuff.
Yes, Warwick just beginning his qualifying lap, the 4th gear right-hander leads out of the stadium, and now we're on to one of these 4 long straights, and they go down this avenue, the tree-lined avenue that makes up the Hockenheim circuit. 6th gear, the cars are accelerating up to 190 miles an hour. Warwick's car maybe just braking to that 190 mile an hour barrier. It's very long straights now. We've got a very heavy braking down into 2nd gear, very slow through here, and it's really important to get the power on and really avoid the kind of sliding we saw back into the Lotus doing. Then up into 5th gear again, back into 6th, the 2nd of the straights. And about 5 years ago we had another chicane added to the circuit. This one is at the Ost corner again, quicker one than the previous chicane at the 4th gear corner. Quick exit, the car running out wide out to the left-hand side. Now on the 3rd of these 4 straights, coming back towards the stadium, again up around 190 miles an hour. this is the quickest of the 3 chicanes. In 4th gear again, quick change of direction, then up the curve a little bit. It's hard to avoid doing that on the quick lap and qualifying tyres. It's probably slightly quicker to let the car ride up the curve, but not let the whole car get across the curve. Now, on the final straight into this stadium, quick 4th gear corner again, using every bit of the road. Now into 3rd gear for this very tight and very demanding Sachs curve. Into 4th gear. This is the part of the circuit really that in the past didn't make any difference to the performance because it was really only one speed through here, but now with the aerodynamics in the cars, it's becoming a really important part of the circuit.
1:45.396, the 4th fastest time so far, and an amazing lap at over 150 miles an hour. But here's the big threat. Ayrton Senna starting his warm-up to a really fast lap, and this is a real artist at work, John.
Well, Ayrton Senna, as we know, is the master of these qualifying laps, but in the last few races, Alan, he hasn't been on pole position, and he's been worried about it. Mclaren are worried about it. They've been working absolutely flat out to find the reasons for the car's sort of, I might call it, lack of performance. They know that the Honda engine is really brilliant, but the car itself isn't working. But see, let's see if Senna can do anything today that's going to redress that past 3-race drought the McLaren team have been suffering from. When Senna gets things right, really it's fantastic to watch, and just saw coming out of that chicane the way he is able to use his car, and again through there he's so clean and neat, and it's really that ability. He's got something very special that I don't see any other driver matching. He can get through those chicanes. He's not bumping over the curbs the way others are doing, but he's maximizing the use of the car, the engine, and of course these qualifying tires, and they're only good for 1 lap, remember. And again, almost perfect through that. I couldn't say anything wrong with that at all. So let's have a look and see. We've got Ron Dennis in the little box looking at it. Fairly unemotional look in his face, but Senna probably on the best lap he's had so far during the proceedings of the German Grand Prix. Coming back up now to nearly the end of that lap. This final double right-hand corner onto the straight. And it's a 1:40.198. That's unbelievable.
That's incredible, and it was just about as perfect a lap as you could get. 151.744 miles an hour, and that is really going to take some beating this weekend. It's way under their testing times. It's way under anything that's ever been done at Hockenheim here. There's Berger waiting to go out, and he really has a challenge on his hands now. And indeed, of course, it's putting it up to the Ferraris as well. Here's Prost starting his lap. Alain Prost, and the Ferrari is very quick in pre-circuit testing here.
Well, Ferrari have been quick everywhere this year, and particularly the last 3 races. Prost is absolutely ebullient at the minute. His confidence is back to the level we saw maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Certainly since he left McLaren, he's a different man, a rejuvenated racing driver, and right now he is getting the most anybody can out of his Ferrari.
So the action coming hot and heavy here. It's that tremendous time of Senna he's got to beat, 1 minute 40.198, 151 miles an hour, and that really is quite a challenge. But if anyone can do it, Prost can do it. Senna now being reversed back into the garage. It's not a sort of thing there's going to be great waving and leaping about in the McLaren pits. They're not that type of people, but they must be certainly proud of their Brazilian driver right now. That was an incredible lap.
Well, Ayrton Senna's out of his car and totally unemotional about the whole proceedings. But here's a man who is an emotional racing driver, Nigel Mansell. And it's really quite late in the session for Nigel to go out. So we're going to have to watch and see if he can match the performance of Alain Prost. The first time, of course, Nigel's in a Ferrari since he announced his intention to retire from Grand Prix racing at the end of this season. And I'm not certain whether that was the smartest thing he could have done, mainly because he's now driving, I would say, on borrowed time. And with all the pressures that are existing within the team and the pressure he in particular is feeling, I'm not sure whether he would have been better to at least keep those intentions more secret and to himself and waited until maybe the end of the season and then said, well, I've had enough. I'm not going to drive anymore in Formula One. I'm going to go back to the Isle of Man and spend a lot more time with my wife and children. And it's a decision, I think, that he made principally to give everybody else around him an opportunity to sort themselves out. But in these competitive days, I think you really have to think of yourself and put those pressures behind you.
Of course, the other big question, John, is motivation going to be there? And looking at these pictures, it certainly looks there at the moment. That's vintage Mansell stuff. He's doing a very, very quick lap here indeed. Whether the Ferrari can catch this startling lap put in by Senna earlier is a very big question, but certainly Mansell's having a mighty try.
Well, he doesn't seem to have lost any of his enthusiasm, that's for sure. I mean, he's over the curbs trying to extract the maximum. And yes, well, that's not a bad thing, that curb. The exit of that chicane, it doesn't really matter. I can excuse anybody for running over that curb, but other ones, certainly, you get up and the car loses aerodynamic downforce and that loses time. So let's have a look at him coming into the stadium. This very fast fourth gear right-hand corner, dropping the left rear wheel off the track, and those shower sparks are from the skid plates underneath the car. This is the very twiddly part of the infield circuit. Back into fourth gear for this double right-hand corner. The car gets light over that, and then the second part tightens up, and then now it's powering onto the start-finish line. Let's have a look at the time, Alan.
Just waiting for it. It's 1:42.32, another 150-mile-an-hour lap, which makes him third quickest so far. So an excellent effort there indeed. So we've still got Berger now going out again shortly. There he is, Berger on his warm-up. And he's a man that can, of course, produce another sensational lap. But the big question is, can he match Senna? And remember that time, 1:40.19. Inside Donnelly's car, coming up on Berger.
Well, that was a nasty. Look at Martin, absolutely furious, because Berger was on that slow out lap. Martin was on a quick lap. He tried to get around him, and he was very lucky not to collide. That was an error on the part of Berger and not anticipating the closing speed of Donnelly's Lotus. But now Berger quietly getting on with the qualifying job in hand. He's going out now on his qualifying lap, running a little bit wide, but again, in that corner it can be excused. It didn't harm the acceleration that the car has off those corners. And really that's the key to the Hockenheim circuit. It's getting out of these slow corners as quickly and as efficiently as possible, and harnessing the horsepower, getting it down and not having the car slide around. And let's see, he's not really quite so clean and neat through there as Senna was in his very quick lap. But at such a small margin, you're talking about tenths, even hundredths of seconds in those very, very tight parts of the circuit. But they add up at the end of a lap. Now coming into this second chicane again, well, not bad, not again quite so clean as Senna, but still pretty good. Staying off the left-hand curve a lot. Other people try to shortcut it and bounce the car across that, and I think in the end of the day they lose time. Now we're coming into this third chicane, which is really the quickest of the three, and getting the car through there. Yes, well, that was pretty good. So altogether I think this is going to be a reasonable lap from Gerhard Berger. Let's just have a look and see how he gets into the stadium. This fourth gear corner is coming into now. Well, dropping the back of the car again off the circuit. Most people are doing that. A little bit quicker. If you can get the power on, it's probably quicker to let it drop down. Coming into this very tight section of the circuit again. And now back onto the start-finish line, flat out. And Berger, in fact, was the quickest car across the start-finish line in the morning warm-up session. So certainly that corner he seems to be getting correct.
You said a reasonable lap. It certainly was. At 1:40.43, another 150-mile-an-hour lap, and there's somebody in big trouble, Nannini. Here we see the replay.
Well, just as we saw a red flag just at the end of Berger's lap, but that is an almighty shunt from Nannini in the Benetton Ford. And I'm not really quite sure what he did, because he came into the corner, looked very normal, and all of a sudden the car just swapped ends and went backwards into that tower wall. And that is a very, very sad-looking Benetton. I don't think that car will be running this weekend. But we've got a red flag out now. Practice is going to be stopped to clear away the mess at that third chicane. Of course, going in backwards has probably done a lot of damage to the gearbox, and there's oil all over the track. Gerhard Berger sitting in his car, having another moment's rest, waiting to get back out on the circuit. Ayrton Senna as well. Of course, the circuit is now closed. The marshals are out cleaning up the mess, and it'll take a few more minutes for the track to be ready to go again.
And we were just about half distance, just a little over half distance through the session, and the situation there was both the McLarens were leading. Senna had a 1:40.19, then Berger was second, Prost was third, Nigel Mansell fourth, Piquet fifth, and this is Alesi, the sixth place man, who's in big trouble.
Well, that is an almighty blow-up. I mean, I don't know what to say, but that is the internals of the engine have all come out the exhaust pipe, most of it in steam. And of course, the marshals, very efficient. Well, they love to play with their fire extinguishers. I mean, they are there for real fires. There's no danger of the car catching fire. They just can't resist giving it a little bit of a burst on the back of the car. Alesi's saying, take it away, take it away. All you're going to do is make a mess. That blow-up really was just steam. There was very little oil, so I imagine something like a piston has collapsed and gone through the cylinder liner, and the water just come out the exhaust pipe, and that was what caused the steam. So sad day for Alesi, because he was very, very impressive indeed. And of course for Brian Hart, who builds the engines for Tyrrell, a big disappointment. And Gregor Wojtek going through the second chicane, and I think really that's an example of how not to do it. He got the car, started to bounce, he went over the curb on the inside, started to bounce, car got out of control, sliding across the curb, and that's a fairly good illustration of how not to take that second chicane.
So Ron Dennis looking for Senna to go out for another lap. It's going to be pretty sensational if it can possibly match the first one. 151 miles an hour, the target broken here this afternoon at Hockenheim by both the McLarens, and Senna is just building up to another massive attack on this one. Obviously traffic very important to get a clear run, and indeed he's dealing with it very well at the moment.
One of the advantages at Hockenheim is because it's such a large circuit, such a long circuit, you can get away with the traffic much more easily than on some of the more tight and shorter circuits. So traffic tends not to be such a big problem, but of course and inevitably you will find, well, here, just look now, Senna's got two cars in front of him, but they're both going slowly and he's able to thread his way through. Now we're approaching again this quick third chicane, in left, right, and a fair, well, that sort of, let's say, didn't get the best out of the chicane that time, and in fact I would think he's going to abort the lap, because really any chance of improving has been completely lost. Yes, Senna's now slowed down and he decided to come in, but now we're back with Nigel Mansell into the first chicane, trying to get out of it as cleanly as possible. The 7-speed gearbox in the Ferrari, of course, being semi-automatic. There's two little levers on each side of the steering column, so he flicks the lever to change gear, not a conventional gear change as all the other cars have. Down into the second chicane, over the curb, a bit more violently that time than the first time. In fifth gear, sixth gear, and up to seventh gear, passing one of the Leighton houses, going very slowly. That was Guzman, it looked like. Now coming down again into this third chicane, entering in fourth gear, sliding a little bit over the chicane exit, but again not a problem, passing Alain Prost, his teammate, no problem. Prost going slowly, and now in his run down into the, I enjoy this corner, this fourth gear right hand corner. It's always one of those corners you've got a tremendous buzz from if you got it right, and I'd imagine that Nigel would be fairly happy with that effort. Almost completing a lap now, coming up to this double right hand corner, the second part of which does tighten up, and it's important not to try to be too quick here, because the acceleration off the corner is most important. So Nigel now completing his second qualifying lap. What is it, Plum?
1:42.31 Nigel's time. So let's check on the provisional grid standings after the first day qualifying. Senna leads, Berger in second place, then Prost in the Ferrari in third place, Nigel Mansell coming in at fourth there, then Piquet in the leading Benetton in fifth, Alesi is sixth, Nannini seventh, Boutsen and Patrese eighth and ninth in a slightly disappointing performance for the Renaults. Then it's Nakajima, Bernard is in 11th place, Ivan Capelli 12th, Derek Warwick, the quickest of the Lotus, in 13th, Suzuki 14th, 15th Modena, 16th Martini, 17th Alboreto, 18th Brabham, 19th Cafe, 20th Alio, 21st Piro, then Lorini in 22nd place, Wojtek 23rd, Griard 24th, Martin Donnelly just scraping in 25th place, as did Barilla in 26th. And the non-qualifiers, Dalmas, De Cesaris and Letho.
Well, that's all we have time for now. Saturday's coverage of the German Grand Prix on Eurosport will include live coverage of the final qualifying session. That starts at 12 o'clock UK time, 1 o'clock in Europe, plus coverage of the Formula 3000 race here, as well as our usual evening programme, which will have highlights of both those events, as well as all the latest news from trackside. But for now, it's goodbye.